All right, y'all. Am I the a-hole for leaving my struggling wife? That's the title of the video. This is from Comfort Level Podcast. Let's watch.
Am I the asshole for leaving my struggling wife? My wife, 32 female, and I, 38 male, had our daughter 2 years ago. We've been together for 10 years and wanted our life together before kids. The pregnancy was complicated. And when she went into labor 2 months early, everything happened so fast, I could barely process it. She had to have an emergency C-section, and for a few terrifying hours, I thought I might lose both of them. After a few weeks in the hospital, both my wife and our baby were finally stable enough to come home. Our daughter was small but strong. I thought once we were home, things would slowly start to feel normal again. I was wrong. About 2 months later, my wife told me she didn't feel connected to our daughter, that she didn't feel love for her. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and I told her it was going to be okay, that it might just take time and that we'd figure it out. I helped her get into therapy and tried not to pressure her to bond with our baby because I didn't want her to feel worse. Months went by. I took unpaid leave from work to take care of the baby, and I tried to keep everything together. I did the feedings, the diapers, the appointments, everything. My wife barely left our bedroom. She went to therapy and talked to her doctor, but there wasn't much improvement. My wife's mother told me she'd snap out of it after a while and just needed time. So I kept telling myself it was postpartum depression and that she'd get better eventually. When our daughter turned 1, I threw her a little birthday party. I decorated, invited both sides of the family, and I tried to make it special. Everyone had a good time. My daughter was laughing. It felt like things were okay. My wife stayed upstairs the whole time. I brought her a plate of food and I asked if she wanted to come down to sing happy birthday. She just told me she won't remember it anyway. I just nodded and I left her alone. The next year, my wife stopped answering her therapist calls, stopped talking to me, and leaving our room completely. No matter how much I tried to talk and get her help, when it was our daughter's second birthday, I planned the entire party by myself, hoping she might finally come out and join us. She didn't. She hadn't held our baby in months. She barely spoke to her. I finally snapped that day. I went upstairs and I told her how unfair it was that our daughter didn't deserve to be ignored or treated like she didn't exist. My wife just stared at the wall and didn't say anything. I stood there for a bit and then I walked out. After that, something in me just broke. I realized I couldn't keep doing it. It wasn't fair to my daughter or to me. I'd done everything I could. Therapy, patience, support, but nothing changed. A few weeks later, I packed up and I left. I took our daughter with me. I went to my mother's and I have been staying with her. Now my wife's family is furious. They've tried to take my daughter. They've been calling me an insensitive piece of shit, saying I abandoned her when she was struggling, that I should have stayed and been more understanding. But I was understanding. For 2 years, I supported her through everything, even when it meant putting my own life on hold.
It's not where I was expecting that to go. I was immediately prepared to say, yes, you are the a-hole for leaving your wife in that scenario. But that's not where I was expecting that to go. Here's the thing. 10 years. 10 years. They were together 10 years previously, before they had a child. It sounds like it was postpartum depression and then it developed into something much more than that. I don't know what it is. I'm not a medical professional. I can't make diagnoses. But that's what it sounds like based on what he said. You know, there is an element of you've been together for 10 years. That is your wife. There's a reason why you married your wife. There's a reason why you wanted to have children with her. That's a very tough situation to have to endure. And who knows the extent of the help that they both sought to try to fix whatever is going on. And who knows the sacrifice that he had to make in all aspects of their life in order to maintain some sense of normal, you know, for their daughter or like just in general. I can only imagine. But at the same time, I couldn't find it in myself to leave in that situation. I wouldn't be able to, especially not my wife, who is literally my best friend. It's so interesting. It's like oftentimes we have more patience for individuals in our life who you would think that we would have less patience for based on the extent of our relationship, if that makes sense. But then the people who we should have the most grace for and the most compassion and the most empathy towards, those are oftentimes the people who end up getting the shortest end of the stick. And it's counter culture. This is like an opposite opinion of what the world wants you to have. The world is very much in favor of divorce. The world doesn't really value marriage all that much. They don't really value marriage. The world encourages you to get divorced, whereas God encourages you to lay down your life for your spouse as Christ laid down his for the church. Now, even saying that statement is wild. Like, how the heck am I supposed to lay down my life like you laid down your life for the church? The standard is unattainable. We can't attain that standard because we can't defeat death. We can't reach that standard. We can't reach that mark. We will always miss that mark. But the only thing that we can do is everything that we are able to within our human capacity and leave the rest to God to fill in the gaps. But it takes a special type of individual to endure that situation. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm some sort of like special type of individual, but I think when you understand that going into marriage, and when you understand that and you are led by Jesus, your perspective is different. And so when you get into those difficult situations, and this is a difficult situation, this is tough. I don't know what his faith is. I don't know. I have no idea. He didn't mention it. I don't know. But when you face those difficult situations, you have a much deeper perspective and you have greater expectations of what the outcomes could end up being, because ultimately you know that you're walking with God. Your faith in that situation is much higher, which could ultimately lead you to staying in that situation much longer. And you could actually see a miracle take place. But like I said, this is counter to what the world is going to tell you. The world's going to tell you, of course, she ain't nothing. You know, she of course, she had her time. She had her postpartum depression time to where it was justifiable. Now it's getting to a point where, look, she gonna do her own thing. Let her do her own thing. This could be the one event that literally changes everything for your family. The decision that you're making to leave in this moment, this could literally be the difference between her going down a direction of complete mental crisis and everything that comes with that, or a potential reconciliation and restoration of what you once had, or even better, because that's the type of God that we serve. But that's some radical faith. Those are radical expectations. But we serve a God who does miracles. So how could you blame me for having those expectations? But I get it. This makes no sense to the world. So this might be an unpopular opinion. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let me know what you think. Very interesting video. Let me know what you think. I forgot what I'd say on the outro, so I'm tired. I'm out, y'all.